My name is Alice, and I'm 26 years old. By trade, I'm an adventure blogger, one of those people who wander into abandoned places with camera and a healthy dose of recklessness. The thrill of discovering forgotten or the mysterious keeps me up at night, scrolling through obscure forums and chat rooms, hunting for the next big thing. That's where I first encountered Elliot. It was a late night, and I'd stumbled across a cryptic chat room tucked into the dark corners of the web. Most of the users seemed like trolls or conspiracy theorists, but Elliot stood out. He claimed to know of a place unlike anything I'd ever encountered. A mansion, he said, deep in the countryside, hidden from maps and the eyes of most people. "Coordinates coming your way," he typed, followed by a grinning emoji. I hesitated, my fingers poised over the keyboard. The location he shared was remote. Too remote, but the temptation was unbearable. Abandoned mansions were a gold mine for my blog. Against my better judgment, I thanked him and logged out. 3 days later, I found myself standing in front of the Midnight Manor. The house loomed against a gray sky, its spindly spires and gable roofline silhouetted like a dark scar across the horizon. The air felt unnaturally still, the kind of silence that sets your nerves on edge. Brambles clutched at the perimeter fence, and the once grand double doors sagged on their hinges. I couldn't help but marvel at the sheer size of the place. It was a relic from a bygone era, but there was something inherently wrong about it. The front door creaked open with surprising ease, as if it had been waiting for me. Inside, the musty air hit me like a wave, thick with decay and mildew. Dust coated every surface, and faded wallpaper peeled from the walls like skin. My boots echoed unnervingly as I ventured deeper, flashlight in hand. The first hour was uneventful. I snapped pictures of cobweb chandeliers and crumbling staircases, feeling more exhilarated than afraid. That is, until I found the study. The room was small and cloaked in shadow, save for a desk cluttered with old photographs. My pulse quickened as I approached. At first, I thought they were generic black and white portraits, stiff poses, outdated clothes. But then I saw her. Me. There I was, smiling awkwardly in a group of strangers, the kind of photo you'd take with old friends. My stomach dropped. I didn't recognize any of them. The me in the picture looked different. Softer, maybe younger, but unmistakably me. My fingers trembled as I sifted through the pile. Photo after photo, all feature me in scenes I'd never lived. One was a picnic. Another was a wedding. My wedding. "Impossible," I whispered, backing away. That's when I heard it. A whisper of my name, faint but unmistakable. "Alice." I spun around, flashlight beams slicing through the darkness. The room was empty, but the voice persisted, coming from all around me, layered and echoing. It wasn't just one voice. It was many. Panicked, I fled into the hall, my footsteps thunderous on the warped wood. The mirrors were the first to catch my attention. They hung at odd angles, cracked and mottled, but it wasn't the damage that unnerved me. It was the reflections. My face stared back at me, but it wasn't quite right. The expressions were wrong, shifting unnaturally, smirking, scowling, or watching with dead-eyed intensity that made my skin crawl. At one point, I saw my reflection grin, even though I hadn't moved a muscle. "Elliot," I called out, the name tumbling from my lips before I could think better of it. I don't know why I said it. Maybe some part of me hoped he was here, that this was some elaborate prank. "Right here, Alice," Ken replied, but it wasn't from around me. It was from the mirror. I froze, heart pounding. The reflection shifted again, and suddenly it wasn't me anymore. It was him. Elliot. He looked like me, but different. His features were sharper, his expression predatory. He stepped forward in the mirror, even though I hadn't moved. My legs refused to obey as he pressed a hand against the glass. "You shouldn't have come," he said, his voice soft but menacing. "But now that you're here, why not stay? What do you want?" I demanded, forcing my voice to steady. "I want out," he replied simply. "And you're my ticket." Before I could react, the glass rippled like water. A shadowy tendril slithered through, cold and unyielding as it coiled around my wrist. I screamed, pulling back, but the grip was relentless. I could feel it dragging me toward the mirror. "You'll love it here," Elliot said, his grin stretching too wide. "It's just like your world, only better. I'll take your place, and you can have mine." The thought of being trapped in that twisted reflection world, with distorted smiles and whispers, sent a jolt of terror through me. I yanked hard, breaking free just as a tendril dissolved into smoke. Without looking back, I ran. The whispers chased me all the way to the door, growing louder, more frantic. "Alice, don't leave. Stay with us." I burst into the open air, gasping as the oppressive atmosphere lifted. But the relief was short-lived. When I glanced back at the house, the windows were filled with faces. My faces. They watched me with sorrow, rage, and something I couldn't name. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. As I drove away, my rear-view mirror flickered, showing not the empty road behind me but the study, with Elliot standing in the center, smiling. That was months ago. I survived, but I'm not the same. Every mirror in my home is covered or destroyed, but it doesn't help. Shadows move behind the glass when I pass, and sometimes I catch glimpses of him, watching, waiting. He promised me I'd never be free of him, and deep down, I know he's right. It started as a random discovery, an app I'd stumbled upon while scrolling through my phone one sleepless night. The app, called Reflect Chat, claimed to connect you with people from parallel dimensions. The reviews were sparse and cryptic, but my curiosity won over common sense. I downloaded it. At first, it seemed like a gimmick. The interface was basic. A black background with a blinking cursor asking, "Who do you want to meet?" On a whim, I typed, "My alternate self." The response came almost instantly. "Doppelmia, I was wondering when you'd find this." I froze. The username made my stomach lurch. It was me, another me, but not quite. The tone was off, too casual, like they'd been expecting me for years. "Mia, who are you?" "Doppelmia, you, well, sort of. Let's just say we're mirrors of each other. Want proof?" I watched in stunned silence as a photo popped up. A picture of me, but not from any moment I recognized. I was in an unfamiliar park, wearing clothes I didn't own, smiling at someone just out of frame. "Mia, how did you get this?" "Doppelmia, it's mine. My life. The one you could have had, maybe should have had." The conversation escalated quickly. Doppelmia claimed she could show me her world, let me live it for a day. There was only one catch. We had to meet face to face. She proposed an abandoned house in the woods just outside town, a place notorious for its mirrors. The idea sent chills through me, but the temptation was irresistible. My life wasn't perfect. Grades slipping, a relationship on the rocks, a future uncertain. What if her world was better? What if I could step into it, even for a moment? When I arrived at the house, the sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The house loomed ahead like a dark silhouette, its windows shattered, its wooden frame sagging under years of neglect. Inside, the air was damp and heavy. The walls were lined with mirrors, each one coated in a thin layer of grime. My flashlight beam bounced off the glass, reflecting endless versions of myself. "Hello," I called, my voice trembling. A flicker of movement caught my eye, a reflection that didn't match my actions. One of the MIAs in the largest mirror stood still, staring at me with a sly smile. Slowly, she raised her hand and beckoned. I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, to leave this cursed place. But I was rooted to the spot. The pull was magnetic, irresistible. My reflection, no, Doppelmia, stepped closer to the glass, her smile widening. "Are you ready?" she whispered, though her lips didn't move in sync with her voice. Before I could answer, the mirror shimmered like water. A cold breeze swept past me, and I was compelled forward, as if an invisible force had gripped me by the spine. My fingers touched the surface, and I was yanked through. The sensation was disorienting, like falling without end. When I landed, everything was wrong. The air felt heavier here, thick with an acrid smell I couldn't place. The house looked the same but distorted, like a funhouse version of itself. The mirrors reflected not just me but twisted, grotesque figures lurking in the corners. Then I saw them, my friends and family, or what was left of them. Their faces sagged like melting wax, their eyes hollow and glinting with a cruel light. They moved sluggishly, their joints cracking with each step, as if puppets on invisible strings. "Welcome," one of them crooned, their voice a sick parody of my mother's. "We've been waiting for you." I stumbled backward, my heart hammering in my chest. "Where am I?" A laugh echoed, low and mocking. Doppelmia emerged from the shadows, now on my side of the mirror. She looked radiant, more alive than I'd ever felt. "This is your new home," she said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "And out there? That's mine now." I ran to the mirror, slamming my fist against it. "No. Switchback. You promised." Her reflection appeared, mirroring my desperation, but wearing a cruel grin. "Oh, Mia," she said, almost pitying. "Did you really think I'd give this up? Your life is so full, so bright. Why would I ever go back?" I screamed, pounding the glass until my knuckles bled, but it was no use. The mirror was unyielding, a cold and lifeless barrier. As she walked away, taking my place in the real world, the house began to shift around me. The walls groaned, the mirrors rippling like disturbed water. The distorted figures closed in, their waxy faces leering. "No!" I screamed. "This isn't real." "Oh, but it is," one of them hissed, their breath hot and rancid against my skin. "It's real, and now, so are you." My reflection was gone. The mirrors were empty, showing nothing but the decaying room. I was trapped, my scream swallowed by the oppressive silence. In that moment, I realized the truth. This wasn't just a parallel world. It was a prison, a place for those too foolish to recognize the dangers of their own ambition, and I had walked right into it.